Back on ABC24 this week with Otis Sanford, Susan Adler-Thorpe, and Brad Broders. Let's talk about the legislation that the governor proposed this week. Actually, an executive order as well. Let's show him at the microphone. It's interesting. When he proposed some school safety legislation way back, there were like 40 people behind him, supporting him for putting an armed officer at every school. He gets up this week to talk about some gun reform, and you see he's standing all alone. But basically, two things. An executive order that would increase background checks when it comes to purchasing guns, and he wouldn't call it a red flag law, but basically that's what it was, extreme order of protection for flagging people who might not be mentally able to, might hurt themselves or might hurt someone else, I think is the way they word it. I give it, and sort of most people, a very, very slim chance, Bradley, that the red flag law will pass. There's not much time left in the session. I think Republicans want this thing to end. Yeah,
and I mean, all of this drama with Justin Pearson and Justin Jones, I mean, I think, yeah, the Tennessee Firearm Association came out saying what he was by a leftist mob. So obviously the gun lobby is very angry that Governor Lee's proposing this. Looking at the supermajority, I don't know in these rural districts if there's enough of an appetite for this. But we'll see. I mean, we were talking this before the show started. It's interesting. What level of impact do school shootings have when someone actually knows someone involved? We saw what happened in the Covenant. We saw what happened in Kentucky with Governor Beshear. It's interesting that these things are happening so often that there's a chance that you may know someone in these situations, and we've seen that play out.
Well, Susan knows the governor, and Susan, this governor, this week, his wife was announced as finally in remission after her struggle with cancer. He's had that emotional roller coaster to be on. Then her dear friend is killed in that shooting, and it's a school where all their children went. So you can understand, or his children went, you can understand why he might be relooking at the issue of guns.
Well, I think I think that Governor Lee has probably in the back of his head always known that was the right thing to do, but it took, unfortunately, it took a personal hit for him to come out and say, all right, red flag laws, we're going for them. He also has a very keen sensitivity to mental illness, and he understands how that could be a problem with the proliferation of guns. But, you know, it's one of these cases where all of a sudden someone went from preaching to meddling. You know, somebody got killed that he knew. He was supposed to have dinner with that lady that night. Right, yeah. So all of a sudden it became very, very personal to him. I think he's going to have a very tough time getting it through, but I think that he'll fight hard to do it. But I don't give it a whole lot of chance. And
here's the thing, Otis, those two measures that the executive order and the law that he's wanting passed, the red flag law, those are both things that the majority of Americans want, including gun owners.
Absolutely.
Vast majority.
Absolutely. No question
yeah,
about it.
but what about the majority of the state house who, you know, that's who in Tennessee has the votes, not the majority of the nation.
Well, it shows who has the power, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's right. And for all the reasons that Susan and Brad talked about why the governor did this is true. I think also he heard, I believe, from some national Republicans who were looking at this in horror. And basically were telling him that, you know, you're making us look like total racists here. And it's hurting the entire party. You got to come out and do something that takes it the other way. I think that's why he did it. I agree that I don't think this legislature is going to entertain it, but this is one of those issues, to Brad's point in the earlier segment, that could start to change attitudes in this state about how we treat this gun issue, and are we just going to let it just run wild?
And one thing's for sure, the folks that were in the chambers the last few weeks, they're going to be back for this, and they're going to still be up there. This is an issue that they're not going to stand quiet on. Right. They're passionate about it. Right. I mean, this shooting happened, 2 miles from the state capitol? I mean, this is personal. This is in many Nashvillians, if I'm saying that, Nashvillians' backyards. I mean, This is a serious issue. They showed up. They took buses from Memphis to Nashville. I don't know what impact it's going to have on the legislature voting, but they're not going to be silent.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. All right, we're going to leave it there. When we come back, we're going to talk about local politics for a minute, or at least extreme local. The Memphis mayoral election, which is getting more interesting as we start to learn who's raising more money than the other guys and ladies. We'll be right back.